Hi there, it's Denise Eckert, the host of Calm Your Daily Stress. And I love coming on here and sharing different ideas and techniques to help you lower the stress in your life. And today we're joined by Tonya K. Herb. She's the CEO of Outspoken. She's a transformative life coach and keynote speaker. And Tonya is on a mission to help high achieving women break free from the chains of overthinking and perfectionism. So, welcome, Tonya.
Thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
What inspired you to get involved in this type of work?
That's a great question. And I get that a lot. People say, how did you get started? And I think it really stems from a place that I was at probably about 10 or 15 years ago, where I knew that there was more out there for me. The question I kept saying to myself is, gosh, there's got to be more to it than this. This can't be all there is. And that's really how I got started. Is I started doing self-development, dove right in. And the more I dove in, and I was at the time I was hiring and training and running a team for a group of financial advisors. And so I had several people from the team just say, "Hey, can we do a little coaching on the side? Can you help me get to this goal or get past this limiting belief?" And that's how I started, just like that. And what I found out was very quickly how much it really lit me up. Just being in a space where people would give me their most vulnerable selves and share that with me. And it was such an honor. And I didn't take it lightly, because that's not a place where a lot of us are, where we share ourselves so openly. And we started seeing some great results within the team. I started working a little bit outside of that space. And then one day I just took the leap. It was scary. I gotta say, it was so scary to just, okay, I'm going to do this. But I did it. I did it scared, and I haven't looked back. I have the best job ever.
That's wonderful. So today we're going to talk about perfectionism. And someone who's listening who doesn't understand perfectionism, can we give a little bit of a definition of what perfectionism is and how it does affect our stress level?
In my opinion, perfectionism is that space where you decide that you're going to do something, whatever it is, whether it's a daily task or something that's a big goal, and you keep reaching for that big goal and you actually get there. But then you say to yourself, oh gosh, I could do it a little bit better. Or maybe if I tried this. And what we do is we get stuck in this loop of, if I tweak it just a little bit, or if I do just this or that, then maybe it'll be better. And we get stuck there and never actually put it out to the world or complete the task. And then our brain starts to take over and says, oh, we don't really complete things, or maybe it's not quite good enough. And we really just stick there. I hope that's an easier answer. When you're in it, you don't recognize it a lot of times.
Now, how do we get past that perfectionism?
That is a great question. First of all, recognizing it, that we have set these unrealistically high standards for yourself or even others. And when we start seeing those things show up, when we feel like nothing we ever do is good enough, and you start having those feelings, you're identifying that. You're saying, okay, why do I feel this way? Because a lot of times we're waiting for that perfect moment. And I'm using air quotes. I know a lot of people can't see me use air quotes, but when we're waiting for that moment, that it'll be good enough when. So we start to recognize those things. And what happens is that now we need to manage the steps to get out of that, and really accepting who we are, and that we are good enough, and that we're continuing to try, and we're resourceful. We're resourceful, we're talented, we're evolving, and recognizing that those things are out there for us. And we just have to take one step, tiny little step, just one. All you need is one step.
One step. I know for myself, I can get stuck in the loop of perfectionism. And I find sometimes it's just hard to get over that hurdle. Is it good enough? Is it good enough? Am I good enough? Am I coming across properly? So I understand you have a type of system that you've created called bike.
Mm-hmm.
Can you share that with us today?
I would love to share that with you. And I created this space really, I use this acronym for so many different things. And really it's about stepping into that. I'm going to go back to why I created it. And I created it because I have this belief that every single person leads something, is a leader. And that's where it started. And I know we're talking about perfectionism and overcoming that, but if I could set the stage here, is that a lot of times if I told you, if I said, do you believe you're a leader? And a lot of people don't. Even people that are in leadership roles have a different persona, different idea, different thought or perception of what that really is. And here's the base of it is that it doesn't matter what your role, your title, your position is. Those leadership spaces are the way we get to lead ourselves out of this perfectionism space, is the understanding that it's how we show up every day. And we get to show up in ways that we have aligned with our core values. And so what happens with that when we always feel like we're kind of out of sorts, that's why we get stuck in the perfectionism loop or the overthinking space, and we start second guessing ourselves. But let's unpack the bike acronym. So really based on a bicycle, and most people can't see that there's a bike on the wall behind me. And that is my reminder every day of how to show up better for myself. So the B stands for being you, be more of you, and understanding that you are really enough. And how we do that, and we hear the word authenticity a lot. And what that really means to me is that I'm going to really sink into letting go of the filters that I have acquired over time. And those are your belief systems. We behave in ways where we think we should show up a certain way, or we show up and only show parts of ourselves because we think that's what's expected of us. So when we break apart, break away from that filter, then we're being more of who we are. So be you is what the B stands for. And the I stands for insight. Insight. And I created this part because I am an introvert. I'm an extroverted introvert. So you don't think that introverts can probably stand on stage and do keynote speeches, but they do. Because we can actually step into that. But what happens for me when I show up in a new space, my brain starts spinning. This is the overthinking space, and a little bit of perfectionism too, because what if they don't like me? What if I say something stupid? What if I don't connect with anybody? What if, what if, what if? And that spin, that automatic spin is what we need to interrupt, that pattern interrupt. So I use insight, and I use it like this. What insight can I gain? What can I learn about you, Denise? What can I learn about me? What can I learn about the audience or the people that you serve that can actually really create a connection between the both of us? So, looking for insight, it's being genuinely curious. So, B is being you, I is insight. So now we're already on a better foot. And the K stands for kindness. Well, that's pretty simple. Kindness. We could all use a little bit more of that, but here's how it really works. It's a neuroscientific wonder. And the reason I say that is because Emory University did a study on kindness. And what they found is that when you show or share kindness with another, your brain's pleasure and reward center lights up as if you're the receiver of that kindness instead of the giver. So your brain doesn't know any different. So if by being more of yourself, not filtering who you are, being genuinely curious and sharing kindness, we're really setting up ourselves for success here. And the E stands for engage. And what engaging means is, I'll ask you this question. Have you ever sat across from someone at a coffee or a dinner or even just trying to connect and they're scrolling?
Yes.
Yes. It leaves you feeling disconnected, right?
Absolutely.
So so how we use engage here is we understand that engaging is reciprocal. It's this space where you give and take. It's a connection. And we're all starving for connection, not connected to the device, but connected to others as human beings. So, and Brene Brown really brings this home for us. If we tie this engage in, is she talks about connection being the energy that's created between people when they feel seen, heard, and valued. And that's really what we're looking for. So you started with how can we break free from this perfectionism space? First of all, identifying that that's what we're doing, and then using the bike acronym. And I talked a little bit about leadership too here in this space. It's all tied together because it's really all how we show up for the world and for ourselves. How do you get stuck in perfectionism?
How do I get stuck in perfectionism? I, it's certain things are just never ready
Yeah. Yeah,
to put out there,
exactly.
whether it's the website, whether it's social media, graphics that are going to go out. And I'm not much of a graphic designer, so if I've done the graphics myself, it's like, but a lot of times I will put it out there. And it's funny because when you finally get it out there or get the confidence to put it out there,
Mm-hmm.
you get accepted. It's not like someone's going to be going, ooh, look at that graphic. No one's doing that.
Exactly.
So it's
You're exactly right.
overthinking. Yeah.
It is. It is. That's exactly right. We all tend to do that. I do that with social media sometimes too, because we're all creators when we're business owners, right?
Yeah. Well, we have to be. But
Mm-hmm.
now, what are some of the habits that listeners can start implementing into their lives to help them reduce stress on a daily basis?
I think we go back to that bike space, really. And because when you first start practicing being more of yourself and doing less filtering, less spinning in your head, and you really get curious, I really, we really do, we live by this bike concept. It's one of three pillars inside a philosophy that I subscribe to, and I think that we can't even speak enough about being more of yourself. And we hear about authenticity all the time. We don't even understand what it means.
Okay. So,
It
what's your
really
definition of authenticity?
simplified authenticity for me is me really showing up without those labels of who I think I'm expected to be. If I really think about authenticity in a way that really means something to me, it means that I'm leaving everything on the table. I'm putting it all out there and I'm not going to judge myself. That's what it means to me, is getting rid of that self-judgment, because other people's opinion of me and how I show up is really none of my business. It's really not meant for me to understand or know because I'm not coming from their space. All I can do is really have genuine connections and be genuinely curious about what makes people tick. And that to me is authenticity.
Yeah. I remember years and years ago, I worked for a big corporation, and basically you were told, in a sense, what to wear, what to look like, how to talk,
Mm-hmm.
how to act. It was incredible. I didn't last there very long. People were fighting over jobs in this corporation. And then when I got in there, I couldn't believe it was almost like they were pushing their branding on us.
Mm-hmm.
So us as an employee went in there on a daily basis and had to be who they wanted us to be. And it's so nice now having my own business where
Mhm.
I can be who I want to be. And it still sticks with me a little bit, but I find being authentic is very important because I am trying to attract the people I want to work with. And if they don't like me, well, there's a lot of other people out there doing whether it's something similar that they need or whatever. But for myself, I want to attract the people that like me for who I am.
Yes. That's the whole key. And part of it really is liking yourself.
Yeah.
I think a lot of corporations are stepping further away. This is how you need to show up space, because COVID taught us that we're individuals, we're unique. And especially when we're starving, back to that starving for connection, showing up in a space where we can genuinely be engaged with each other and appreciate each other's individuality and uniqueness. If we want to talk about really authenticity for just a moment, if we want to expand on that, uh, one of the other pillars that I talk about with people is, are you familiar with the golden rule? The golden rule: do unto others as you would have them do unto you.
Yes, I am.
Okay, so most people maybe even grew up with that.
Mhm.
And the interesting part about that is that if you're treating others the way you want to be treated, then you're enforcing your own beliefs on other people, which we all can stand for our own beliefs and we all can have the voice. But the thing about the golden rule is that's the thing that's keeping us stuck, because we're not appreciating or celebrating that individuality or uniqueness. And so when we really look at the golden rule like that, think about it like this. You're if everybody subscribed to the golden rule, it wouldn't make sense for restaurants to have a menu full of options because we would all want the same thing, right? Or why doesn't one size fits all? It could really expand that way. So if you kind of push out the golden rule and you say, what about subscribing to the platinum rule? And that is treating others the way they want to be treated. The only way you know how they want to be treated or what's important to them is to be curious, look for that insight, right? And for them to know you as as yourself. If you want to be seen, heard, and valued, well, you have to show up fully. That's where authenticity comes from. And so those all kind of work together.
Yeah. And I want to skip back a little bit. We did talk a little bit about engaging with others. And I know with COVID, a lot of us were unengaged. Do you have
Mm-hmm.
any tips or techniques that someone listening, if they feel that their engagement has dwindled since COVID, how to improve that again or get that back on track?
Oh, yeah. The first thing, and I have to do this myself now and again for a reset. Sometimes I need a reset and how I do that is I go back to, I've done the work of identifying what my core values are, what things mean to me. And when I have three core values that I operate and filter everything through. And so when I feel out of alignment or like I'm not seen or heard or I feel disconnected, then I look at those things. And my core values are love, connection, and gratitude. So everything that I do, I run through those core values. And so when I feel disconnected, I have to go, why am I feeling this? What is this? Is it that I am spending too much time scrolling myself? Am I not getting out in nature? And even taking a 5-minute walk makes such a difference, getting that fresh sunshine on your face, breathing the fresh air. We've had a lot of smoke in our area lately, and so there's not as much fresh air, but just those few minutes outside, that changes everything. And that's where that connection starts to come back in, because I feel more connected to myself. When I feel more connected to what matters to me, then I can show up better for other people. And when you're genuinely curious about what's going on with people and you ask questions, that's where you can start to reconnect again. I also know that when my calendar doesn't have enough coffee dates on it, I feel disconnected too. And so that's me having to reach out. I don't say having lightly, getting to reach out to friends that I haven't connected with for a long time? Or what about someone that you've met once or twice, but you really want to get to know in a different way? And so I set up new coffee dates. I'm also a paddleboarder. So if I'm not out on the water at least once a week, I get kind of grumpy. So those are places that I reconnect in my life. And if I'm feeling, let's say my husband and I are feeling a little disconnected, that requires me identifying why I'm feeling disconnected and then going and saying, you know what, babe, I'm feeling a little disconnected and here's why. So I have to have those conversations. I have to be courageous enough to open my mouth and say what matters to me and ask how he's feeling too.
Yeah. And it's just taking the time out to do that too.
Yeah.
That's
How do you
important.
connect?
You know what? I have a few friends that I really talk to, and
Mhm.
I find they know me so well that I can sit there and just brainstorm different things if I need to, which is really important to me.
Mhm.
Because a lot of times you have a lot of confusion in your head.
The overthinking space.
Yes, the overthinking space. And I find communication really helps me with that,
Mhm.
and it settles me down. I'm not a journal person, but I do some writing. Like a lot of times that clears up things as well.
Mhm.
It's hard to just sort everything out, especially being self-employed. There's always so much going on, so many different things going on. It's hard to keep everything in its drawer.
Mhm. We wear a lot of hats too.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And that's what I find difficult too. Like you just gotta boom, boom, boom.
Mhm. Most definitely. And the other side of that is knowing what parts of you who, who can help you with those things, because one friend cannot be everything to you. Same with you, right? You cannot be everything to everyone. And so really understanding what you bring to the table
Yeah.
is helpful, and understanding what others bring to the table for you in that relationship space, whether it's friends or coworkers or what have you, but knowing the role that everyone plays in your life.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's really important. So I
Yeah.
understand you have a free brainstorming session that you're
Mm.
offering people. Can you talk a
Yes.
little bit about that?
I have a coaching business. Yes. And I do a lot of coaching in a 90-day stint, but not everyone needs 90 days. Some people are better with just a quick 45-minute to an hour session where we can just really dive into where they're stuck, or they've got a big goal out there and they've tried and they've tried and they've tried, but they get in their own way. And so sometimes, from my perspective, it's easier for me to see where they're stuck, and I know how to ask the questions, and I've seen a lot of people really just kind of break free from some of those things just in that quick little 45 minutes. I want to be able to reach more people and create that ripple effect, because that one thing that's holding someone back so that they can break free is now going to help them create space where they're helping others too.
Yeah.
And I think that we need more of that in our lives. And so that's that's why I offer it. It's
Wonderful.
so much fun. I love meeting new people.
Sounds good. So for all those listening, I will be putting Tonya's information wherever you're watching or reading. And so, Tonya, we're going to wrap this up now. Do
Okay.
you have your final words of wisdom to share with the audience today?
Final words of wisdom. I love that.
Final words of wisdom.
I would say take the time to stop and just take a breath and look around at everything that you've got going on in your life and decide what's the most important to you and filter out all of the rest and let it go.
Wow.
One thing that I could tell everyone is there are things you need to let go of. It's time. It's time to do that.
Let go and move forward.
Yes.
Okay, well, great. Well, thank you so much, Tonya. And I am just leaving you a gentle reminder to slow down and enjoy life. And I'll see you at the next episode.